The ad looked like a joke, one of those dark internet posts people screenshot, laugh at, then forget. Except this one didn't disappear. It stayed up for months, seeking a healthy young man to be slaughtered and consumed. No username, no location, just a cold, clinical sentence sitting in an online forum nobody was supposed to ever find. Investigators would later say this was the moment the digital age crossed a moral line humanity was never prepared to confront. But back then, it was just a bizarre message floating in an obscure corner of the internet. And then someone replied. The reply wasn't panicked. It wasn't confused. It wasn't horrified. It simply said, "I volunteer." Those two words triggered one of the most disturbing, legally unprecedented, and psychologically incomprehensible crimes ever documented, one that investigators still struggle to explain decades later. Behind the ad was Armin Maywes, a seemingly ordinary computer repair technician living in rural Germany. He grew up quiet, isolated, shaped by a strict and emotionally suffocating mother who kept him cut off from the world. When she died, the isolation deepened into something darker. His enormous childhood home became a tomb. His loneliness calcified into obsession. His fantasies shifted from escape to domination, to something investigators still refuse to publicly describe in detail. But every detail, every desire, was stored on his computer. Digital diaries, hundreds of emails, chat logs stretching back years. He searched for someone who would give themselves fully, someone who wouldn't resist, someone who would want it. Most people thought he was role-playing. Most blocked him. Some laughed. Some responded with shock or disgust. But in early 2001, one man didn't. His name was Bernd Brandes, an engineer from Berlin, intelligent, successful, private. Colleagues described him as calm, introverted, but dependable. Nobody could have predicted the storm brewing under his quiet exterior. Their digital messages unfolded like a psychological spiral. Two strangers revealing darker and darker pieces of themselves, matching each other's obsession step for step. When investigators later read the emails, they found no coercion, no threats, no manipulation, no outward signs of mental instability. Just two adults discussing a plan that violated the boundaries of human morality. Bernd told him he was serious. Armin asked if he understood what he was agreeing to. Bernd insisted. The digital world had created a strange, lawless intimacy, one that didn't exist in real life. Two men miles apart, connecting through a shared darkness that would have been unthinkable before the internet. On March 9th, 2001, Bernd traveled to Armin's house. He even bought a return ticket. Maybe he thought he would back out. Maybe part of him hoped Armin wouldn't go through with it. Maybe it was a final test of reality. But he arrived. He signed a formal consent document, typed by Armin himself. And then the two men walked into the old childhood home. Hours later, Armin set up a video camera. The recording, not gore but psychology, is what horrified investigators the most. It showed two rational adults progressing calmly through an unimaginable plan. No screaming, no force, no panic, a mutual descent into darkness. The recording was later sealed by the court. Only a few minutes were ever allowed to be described publicly. Journalists who saw parts of it said the emotional detachment was more disturbing than any violence. After the act, Armin did something unexpected. He sat at his kitchen table and waited. He waited 4 days before telling anyone. He kept logs. He documented everything. He wrote as though he were logging a laboratory experiment. He stored the footage. He archived every email. He saved the digital contract. He cleaned the scene not out of panic, but routine. It wasn't rage. It wasn't impulse. It wasn't thrill. It was ritual. This level of organization is what led investigators to suspect he might have continued. Armin later admitted that if he hadn't been caught, he would have looked for another volunteer. And he almost wasn't caught at all. It took a single anonymous email, sent months later, to alert police that a disturbing video existed somewhere on the internet. Not leaked, not posted, just rumored. Investigators traced the rumor to the town where Armin lived. They arrived at his home expecting nothing more than a hoax. What they found instead was A meticulously kept diary, emails dating back years, a digital contract, hours of archived video folders labeled Future Hopefuls, containing chats with other potential volunteers. No struggle, no force. Everything consensual. It was a legal nightmare. Germany had no law for what Armin had done. There was no precedent, no classification, no legal vocabulary. Human history had never recorded a crime like this, one where the victim participated willingly and documented his consent. The trial became a global spectacle. Prosecutors argued it was a crime of domination and psychological exploitation. Defense attorneys argued it was an assisted act between consenting adults. Psychologists argued it was a result of deep isolation and childhood trauma. Morality debated with law. Ethics battled with consent. The courtroom turned into a philosophical war zone. Armin sat calmly throughout the proceedings, speaking softly, politely, even smiling at times. He described the event not as murder, but as fulfillment. When asked why he did it, he said, "I wanted someone who truly belonged to me, forever." His face never changed. He never flinched. He spoke with the serenity of someone discussing a recipe, not a human life. That calmness is what frightened the jury most. He was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. But the internet never forgot. The digital footprint of the case spread across forums, documentaries, podcasts, and dark corners of the web. Even today, investigators can't answer the question that haunts them most. Was Barron truly willing, or was he groomed by a loneliness no one recognized? Because Armin wasn't the only one looking. During the investigation, police discovered dozens of others online discussing the same fantasies. Some were looking to hurt. Some were looking to be hurt. Some were uncertain which they preferred. It wasn't a one-time crime. It was a subculture, a hidden ecosystem of obsession. The case proved something chilling. The internet didn't create darkness. It just connected the people willing to act on it. And the final, terrifying question that still hangs over the case is this. If one digital ad brought two strangers together for something this dark, how many more messages like are still out there, waiting for someone willing to answer?